Lightning cracked the Kentucky sky, illuminating a stubborn farmer's tiny airstrip as a massive C-17 military aircraft roared through the storm, attempting the impossible. Henry Caldwell, facing foreclosure, had spent decades maintaining his grandfather's runway, defying neighbors who called it a waste. Now, with rain hammering his fields and military brass about to swarm his land, everything was about to change. Henry climbed onto his ancient tractor as dawn barely touched the horizon. At 62, his joints protested each step, but the farm didn't run itself. He glanced at the eastern field, where his grandfather's airstrip sliced through his struggling soybean crop. Waste of good land, his neighbor, Parsons, had sneered last week. Corporate farms don't keep private runways. That's why they're buying everyone out while you're drowning in debt. Henry pushed the memory aside and started the tractor. The dirt runway hadn't earned a dime in years, but 3 generations of Caldwells had kept it alive. His grandfather built it for World War II civil air patrols. His father maintained it through lean decades. Now it was Henry's burden, even as bank notices buried his kitchen table. Every month, more farms fell to Greenfields AgriCorp. They'd swallowed the Harper Place and the Ellis farm nearby, offering Henry a buyout that demanded demolishing the airstrip for more crops. Some things outweigh money, he muttered to his border collie, Rusty, who sat beside him, grey muzzle heavy with wisdom. Henry's phone buzzed. Sam Tucker, manager of the regional airport 30 miles north. Morning, Sam. Severe weather system tonight, Henry. Secure anything loose. Thanks. Strips clear if anyone needs an emergency landing. Sam laughed. Always the same answer. Most pilots don't even know your runway exists anymore. It's off modern charts. Grandfather said being ready matters most when it's least expected. Well, this storm's nasty. Be careful. Henry spent the day tending the farm, focusing on the runway. He cleared a fallen branch and filled a small hole near the eastern end. The strip was modest, 3,200 feet of packed earth and gravel, but he kept it pristine, despite no visitors in months. As evening fell, the western sky turned menacing. Henry secured his equipment and headed inside as rain began. Rusty whined at the growing thunder. Just another storm, Henry said, though something felt off. The house groaned under lashing winds. While making dinner, his landline rang, rare these days. Caldwell Farm. Mr. Caldwell, a sharp voice replied, "This is Colonel Nathan Brooks, Air National Guard. Do you maintain a private airstrip?" Henry gripped the receiver. "Yes, sir. Since 1943. What's its condition and length?" "About 3,200 feet, packed earth and gravel. Well kept, but it's pouring now." "Why? Someone need to land?" The colonel paused. "We have a situation. A C-17 Globemasters carrying emergency medical equipment for Lexington Memorial. Both primary and alternate airports are weathered in." Henry nearly dropped the phone. "A C-17? Colonel, that's impossible. They need runways twice my length, concrete, not dirt." "I understand, but the aircraft commander requested your coordinates specifically." "Who's the pilot?" Henry asked, pulse quickening. "Captain Michael Reed." The name struck like lightning. Michael Reed, the lanky kid who'd biked 10 miles to watch planes at Henry's strip, whom Henry taught to fly in his old Cessna, who joined the Air Force with Henry's recommendation. "Michael knows this isn't possible," Henry said. "My strip can't handle a transport. It's suicide in this storm." "Captain Reed thinks otherwise," Brooks replied. He said, "Henry Caldwell's strip will work. I learned to fly there." Henry stared at the rain-battered window. Michael's plan wasn't just risky, it was madness. "If he crashes, people die," Henry said flatly. "If those supplies don't reach Lexington by morning, more people die," the colonel countered. "It's Captain Reed's call, but he needs your help. Can you light the runway?" Henry shut his eyes. 20 years since he'd seen Michael, since he'd promised the boy's dying mother he'd give her son a future. "I'll light it," he said. "But tell Michael if he wrecks my grandfather's runway, I'll haunt him himself." The storm worsened as Henry donned rain gear. Wind nearly toppled him as he hauled LED runway lights from the barn, markers for rare night landings, never meant for a beast like a C-17. Rusty watched from the porch as Henry staked lights along the muddy runway. His truck's headlights added faint illumination. Soaked despite his gear, Henry radioed the frequency Brooks provided. Caldwell Farm to incoming C-17. Hello. Thanks for watching and being part of this journey. If you enjoy story like this, please like, comment, and subscribe. Your support means the world. Now let's dive into the runways marked, as clear as it gets. Surface wet but holding. Wind gusting southwest, about 25 knots. Static crackled, then, copy, Caldwell Farm. This is Thunderbolt 425, beginning approach. ETA 5 minutes. The voice, deeper now, was unmistakably Michael's. Henry hadn't known how much he missed it. He parked his truck at the northwest end, headlights boosting the glow. Rain eased slightly, but wind stayed erratic. Henry stepped out, peering into the dark. Then he heard it. The deep roar of 4 massive engines, louder than anything his strip had ever seen. Landing lights pierced the clouds, raindrops glinting in their beams. The C-17's hulking shape emerged, impossibly huge. Too fast, Henry whispered. He's coming in too fast. The plane descended at a terrifying speed, but as Henry watched, it pitched up, flaps fully extended, shedding speed against all logic. Rear wheels hit precisely at Henry's marked threshold, spraying water. Reverse thrusters roared, the plane battling its momentum. Henry held his breath as the C-17 barreled down the runway, devouring distance. 3/4 through, the nose wheel touched, slowing steadily. For a sickening moment, Henry thought it wouldn't stop. The strip's end loomed, with a ditch and fields beyond. But with just over 200 feet left, the plane crawled to a halt. Henry stood frozen, rain dripping from his hat, unable to grasp it. No pilot should have landed a loaded C-17 on a 3,200-foot dirt strip in this storm. His radio crackled. Caldwell Farm, Thunderbolt 425 is down safely. Thanks, Henry. A pause, then warmer. Still keeping this strip tip-top, I see. Henry found his voice. You nearly killed me, Michael. Craziest damn thing I've ever seen. A chuckle came through. Learned from the best, didn't I? Henry drove to the plane, its size dwarfing his truck. The rear ramp lowered, and Air Force uniforms spilled out, moving fast despite the rain. A tall man in a flight suit approached. Michael, no longer the skinny teen but a broad-shouldered captain with cropped hair and steady eyes. Henry Caldwell, Michael said. Grinning, hand extended. Bet you never thought a C-17 would grace your runway. Henry shook it firmly. Bet you never thought you'd be fool enough to try. You look good, Michael. You too, sir. Michael glanced at the plane. We need to offload fast. Supplies are urgent for Lexington. Henry nodded. What do you need? Barn space to stage equipment till trucks arrive. And maybe some of that awful coffee you used to brew. Henry cracked a smile. Coffee's still bad. For an hour, Henry helped move medical equipment, ECMO machines for critical patients, into his barn. How long you grounded? He asked. Till the weather clears, Michael said. Until I figure out how to get a C-17 off 3,200 feet of dirt. Landing was easier than takeoff will be. Henry raised an eyebrow. Easier? Michael grinned. Well, less impossible. By midnight, everything was tarped in the barn, ready for Dawn's trucks. The storm eased, though rain lingered. In Henry's cramped kitchen, Air Force crew crowded around, grateful for coffee and shelter. Henry and Michael sat in a corner, catching up on 20 years. So, Henry said quietly, C-17 pilot. Your mom would be proud. Michael's face softened. I think of her every flight. And you. What you did for us after she got sick. Anyone would have helped. No, Michael said firmly. Not anyone gives flying lessons to a broke 16-year-old or writes an academy letter for a nobody kid. Henry shrugged. You had talent. Best pilot I ever saw. Michael glanced at the kitchen's worn counters and dated stove. Farm looks smaller. It is, Henry admitted. Sold the east section last year. Greenfield's AgriCorp's buying everything up. Michael studied him. How bad is it? Henry sighed. 6 months till the bank takes the rest. Can't match their equipment. But not this runway, Michael noted. You've kept it perfect. Grandfather'd haunt me otherwise, Henry said, smiling faintly. Besides, pilots need it sometimes. As dawn neared, the storm cleared. Michael stepped onto the porch, eyeing the sky. Weather's breaking. Trucks'll be here soon. Henry nodded. Your takeoff. Strips softer after the rain. Michael's face grew serious. We've run calculations. Even unloaded, it's tight. We'll need every inch and minimal fuel, just enough for Louisville. And, he hesitated. We may need to extend the runway. Henry frowned. Extend how? There's a ditch at the end. If we flatten some field beyond it, it'd give a safety margin. Henry stared. You mean plow my soybeans? An acre? Michael nodded. I know it's a lot. The Air Force will pay fully. Before Henry could answer, truck engines rumbled. Lexington's transports. Equipment was loaded swiftly, and the trucks left. A staff car arrived, and Colonel Brooks stepped out, approaching with military precision. Mr. Caldwell, on behalf of the Air Force, thank you. Your actions saved lives. Henry nodded awkwardly. Just did what was needed. Michael joined them. Sir, we've reduced weight and are prepping departure. Runway's the challenge. Brooks eyed the C-17, incongruous against the farmland. Captain Reed assures me he can take off safely, he told Henry. But there's collateral impact. How much field? Henry asked. About an acre, Michael said. Fill part of the ditch, level ground beyond for safety. Henry gazed at his soybeans, planted weeks ago. That acre might have covered a mortgage payment in a good year, but he'd lose the farm anyway. Do it, he said finally. Within an hour, Air Force crews arrived with equipment. Henry watched them fill the ditch and flatten his field, extending the runway. Word spread. Vehicles lined the road, locals recording with phones. Henry saw neighbors, pilots who'd used his strip, even the banker holding his mortgage. Michael finished checks and boarded. The C-17's engines spooled up, drowning the farm in noise. Henry stood with Brooks, watching the plane taxi, using every inch. He's really doing this, Henry murmured. Captain Reed requested this mission when he heard the emergency, Brooks said. Mentioned repaying a debt. The C-17's engines hit full power, moving slowly, then faster. The damp strip held under its weight. Halfway, it wasn't at takeoff speed. 3/4, still grounded. Come on, Michael, Henry whispered. Get up. The original runway's end neared. The plane hit the new section, still accelerating. For a moment, Henry thought it wouldn't make it. Then, at the very end, the nose lifted, wheels followed, and the C-17 clawed into the sky, barely clearing the ground. Cheers erupted as it banked toward Louisville. Henry exhaled, shaky. Remarkable, Brooks said softly. As the crowd thinned, locals approached, clapping Henry's back. Never thought I'd see that, said Amos Tate, who ran the feed store. Your grandfather'd be proud. Even banker Paul Vance came over. That was something. Henry. 3 days later, fixing a fence, Henry heard vehicles. Rusty barked as 3 government SUVs arrived. A man with general's stars stepped out. Mr. Caldwell, I'm General Alan Foster, Air Mobility Command. Got a minute? Henry wiped his hands. Sure, General. Coffee's fresh. At the kitchen table, Foster was direct. I reviewed Captain Reed's landing report. Extraordinary. But your strip's history and location interest me more. Analysts found a gap in our emergency landing network here. Reed's operation proved your strip's value, even for our largest planes. It was close, Henry said. Michael's exceptional. True, but the strip brought me here. We'd like to designate it an official emergency landing facility, upgrade the surface, add lighting, set a maintenance deal. Henry blinked. General, I'm months from foreclosure. Reed mentioned that, Foster said, smiling. The designation includes a management fee and lease that'd fix your finances. Your farm stays yours. We'd lease just the runway area. Henry's mind spun. It had blocked Greenfield's AgriCorp from taking his land. You're serious? Completely. Your farm fills a safety gap. The deal prevents development that'd disrupt flights. That's promising, Henry said. I'll have my staff send details, Foster stood. Oh, and Reed speaks highly of you. Says you're why he joined the Air Force. You've been aiding our capabilities longer than you knew. 3 months later, Henry watched Air Force engineers finish upgrades to the newly named Caldwell Auxiliary Landing Facility. The dirt strip, now polymer reinforced, kept its rugged charm while supporting heavy planes. The deal had saved his farm. Foreclosure cancelled, eastern section repurchased. C-17's roar drew his eyes skyward. Michael, true to his word, piloted the first official landing on the new runway. He stepped off with Foster. "Henry," Michael called, grinning. "Like your new runway?" "Looks like the old one," Henry replied, smiling. "Just tougher." Foster shook his hand. "Your facility's what we needed. You've sparked a movement. We're scouting other private airfields for our network." "Grandfather'd be pleased," Henry said. He believed citizens had a role in readiness. Vehicles gathered near the farmhouse, neighbors, pilots, Air Force personnel, for the facility's opening ceremony. Banker Vance stepped forward. "Henry, from the Riverside Business Association, this is for you." He handed over a plaque, in recognition of the Caldwell family's 7 decades of service to aviation and national security. After, Michael pulled Henry aside. "I never thanked you properly. For believing in a scrawny kid, for showing me traditions matter." Henry's throat tightened. "Your mother asked me to give you a shot. I kept my word." "You did more," Michael insisted. "You taught me loyalty, keeping promises. That's why I had to land here when they said it couldn't be done." As sunset bathed the Caldwell Auxiliary Landing Facility in gold, Henry realized his grandfather's strip hadn't just survived. It had found new purpose, honoring its roots. Rusty trotted up, gray but vigilant. Henry scratched his ears, eyeing the fields that'd stay Caldwell's for another generation. "Some landings seem impossible till someone dares try," Foster said, joining him. "Some traditions seem outdated till their value shines through." In a world where family farms vanished into corporate hands, one farmer's quiet resolve had not only saved his land but proved the old ways still held vital strength.